Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of our podcast, Victoria and Emily After Dark. Emily is not with me. She's in Uvalde, Texas, blowing things up for a very special production shoot. And I work in DC, where if you blow things up, you're going to get arrested. But I do have someone from a previous episode. Emma is here with me. Y'all remember Emma? She's a little bit off to the side. But we brought in her mother, who is also like a second mom to me because Emma and I grew up in high school. We met each other in high school, grew up in high school. We met each other in high school. Emma's mom was the one who would hear all of the high school drama besides my own mom. So I'm super excited to have her join us. And I want her to explain what she does because what she does is really interesting. So Linda, so we were calling you that.
Hi.
But Linda. Can you explain to everyone what it is you do?
I am a COPSD counselor at a drug abuse and alcohol facility.
How did you end up in that line of work? And what interested you in working there?
Everybody seems like in the recovery area, it seems like we want to help people because we've experienced it ourselves. My dad was an alcoholic. I experienced some addiction myself. And so how I got sober is by focusing on my dream of being, a counselor. I always wanted to do that. I thought I'm helping other people, and that's feels good to me.
And that's interesting because you said, like, as someone who got sober and wants the dream of like helping other people, like that's been a big motivating factor for you. Do you find that you might connect to your patient? Would that be the correct term? Your patients or your
or clients? I call them.
Do you find it like easier to connect with them because you have that similar background?
I can relate the push and pull of the wanting the sobriety and the dysfunction that when you need a drug. So I can know that that's so hard to overcome.
What would you tell your clients when they're like going into that push and pull? Like, what are some things that you like?
You have to sit there in the uncomfortable for a little bit. It's not fun, but you have to do that. It's really hard because I remember, wanting two different things in the same.
What do you mean by that? No,
like you want it so bad, but you can't succumb to the urge.
And it's so interesting because that can be like also relatable to all sorts of instances, whether it's our like challenges, whether it's spending money, or whether it's trying to lose weight, or whether it's like working towards a goal. It's like you want the immediate satisfaction, but you also have to kind of play the long game. And I don't mean to like mitigate your experience, but I'm just saying for maybe someone who doesn't have experience with like drinking or drugs or anything like that, but they do have like another kind of urge that they're having to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So what type of clients do you have? Like what kind of issues are they usually going? Like what kind of drugs? Is it just drugs? Is it alcohol? Is it both?
It's both. And where I work, it's a nonprofit, and it's free for those who are indigent. Many clients that I have are homeless and chronically. This is their last resort. Chronic homelessness is a problem, and you got there probably because of your drug abuse.
So do they just pick them up? Because I think we've all come across someone who's clearly like mentally unstable on drugs, roaming the streets. So do they just pick them up and drop them off? Like, how does that work?
Yes, you have to call in, and but it's first come, first serve, and people are always sitting in the lobby, and waiting. They'll wait for all day to be seen.
And so when they can't come in, what usually happens?
they'll try to seek out another place, but people like sometimes they'll stay on the foyer, in the front, and they'll camp out
Oh, wow.
to get in.
Yeah. How long will people camp out for?
I've seen like overnight, or if it's the weekend, they're going to stay there.
Do you know what kind of drugs they're using? Like what would be like the most common drug that do y'all test? Like how does the intake?
Yeah. We do. So it's like a lot of cocaine and meth. It's hardcore.
And do they ever try to do it during like
all the time?
Are you serious?
Yes. The last time somebody came in, it was a man, and he was there for like 2 weeks, but we are 28 days, and so he knew the routine. And then he discharged for some reason, and then he knew the schedule, and so he drove around the facility and dropped off some stuff
for other
That's
people.
Crazy. And they're like 7 people got discharged because they used it.
That's crazy.
And it's like people have blabs. They talk a lot.
But are they trying to get sober, or are they trying to just find a place to live?
That's how that shows you how bad it is. I mean, that you are in here to get clean, but I'm still going to have these behaviors, and it is a behavior.
But are they there to get clean?
Well, yes, I think.
Are they there because it's cold?
Yeah, it's cold, but it's a lot. Like I said, like that's the homeless part too.
Well, they're not really there to get clean. They're there to not be homeless for 28 days.
That's your take, Emma?
That's why they're all doing drugs in rehab.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, because you'll see chronically homeless people on the streets. Like, you'll see the same guy, for years. When I lived in downtown Dallas, I saw the same guy for about 3 years doing the same old thing. And he was clearly like mentally either on drugs or mentally disturbed or a combination of both. And we would hear things like, oh, he went to this homeless recovery center. Oh, but then he ended up back on the streets. And then, and it's kind of just like this yo-yo, and it's really sad, to be honest. And then in San Diego, and this is something, I was in San Diego recently, and I noticed that the difference between the homeless in San Diego and the homeless here in DC, because the homeless here in DC are pretty aggressive, is that the homeless in San Diego aren't as aggressive. Like, I did not come across one aggressive person in San Diego, but here in DC, it's pretty normal to come across at least one DC person, homeless person, who will start yelling and screaming.
Oh, no.
Does that happen at your facility where people will start?
Yes, it does happen. I was like, just recently something happened. 2 clients were having a spat, just a verbal like spat, and it escalated, and I was kind of like in there. So because I have to, like, that's part of my job, is like, I need to escalate
or de-escalate.
Yeah. And
I can escalate anything.
So we were trying to get him out, but he didn't know me at all. He was throwing things at his water bottle. He threw it, and it was splashed, and it was he was yelling and crazy stuff.
And then what happens after that? You kick them out, or they stay there?
He got kicked out.
So there is like a line, like if you're aggressive, you can't stay here.
Yeah.
So can you explain maybe like what a typical day is? We kind of went through some of like, I just had a few questions off the top of my head, but what is a typical day in the work that you do?
I see clients one-on-one. I'm a COPC counselor, co-occurring psychiatric substance use disorder.
Wow.
So I mostly counsel people who have depression or PTSD or anxiety, it has to be, paired with the diagnosis. So that's how they get to see me. So my credentials are as a LPC, and that's a licensed professional counselor. So, and I have a master's degree. We just work on mostly, there's always some PTSD or intimate partner violence. I see a lot of that. On my job, I have to see, I have my case load. I see 20 people each week.
Mm. Oh, wow. That's a lot. That's a lot for...
That is a lot. I have to do notes too.
Emma's like, but Mom, you need to do your job. So you can keep track of all these people. Is the outcome like hopeful for a lot of these people? Is it about not neutral, but does it seem to be just a repetitive cycle? Or like what's like the success rate of people recovering?
It's like 10%.
Wow.
At your facility.
At my facility.
Mm-hmm. And so do you think that's because the people who are seeking treatment are homeless people?
Yes, because they do not have the
Support system.
Social support. After their 28 days, they go to like a sober living, like that's also nonprofit, and that gets like people who are not ready. For example, a client that came recently, she came back, and I'm like, when were the last time you were here? And she said, I relapsed the day I got out. And that's so sad.
I was gonna say, how do you deal with that kind of like emotional stress?
We get to, if she didn't get it this time, there's something that we can do differently. It's in the client also. What are we going to do different? Like, because I have a teacher background, and so I like to use worksheets. So we try to dig down and find out what we can do differently this time.
Yeah, or the second time or the third time. Sometimes it's like a repeated cycle. So I have a question for Emma. I think it's interesting how both of our mothers are in the mental health space. My mom does, she works for a nonprofit also.
Mm-hmm.
She is a parent educator for a nonprofit in Dallas, and she speaks, she's the bilingual one because she speaks Spanish. So she has a lot of, also, I think the term is clients with her.
Uh-huh.
Emma, do you find like yourself asking your mom a lot about her job and maybe about like, do you guys have conversations about what she does?
It's more just like she just like unloads her day,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She gets like talk about her day, and I'm like, what kind of stuff did you have to deal with today?
No, I totally can relate to that too, because at one point my mom was dealing with something that happened at work that had to do with her clients. For about 3 to 6 months, she was a part of a program, and it was also like that. Like she would just come home and unload, and she was like physically assaulted as part of this, like, and she had to deal with because it was from children. It was like children who were just like, yeah, like she probably not like physically assaulted from adults, but children hitting her. But that was just
oh my goodness
program. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, like, and I'm curious to know, Linda, are you ever at the end of the day thinking like, I don't know how long I can do this for, or is this something you're like just deeply emotionally attached to, that you're like, I love what I do?
I love my job, and I love making a difference. I like that. But like, for example, I got really upset like yesterday or on Friday because 2 clients declined me and they didn't want to see me. And
but that's, you can't take that personally because they're just there to not be outside. They're not trying to get therapy. And so you can't take that personally, like that you're back.
Yes, I know, but because I know because I had, I prepared for, the session, and we were working so hard, and I thought we were getting somewhere, and this is a setback, and I know this is not about me. It's about the client, but it's like, and it is frustrating.
Are y'all open on the holidays?
Yes,
who
because
works-
we're a hospital.
Oh, okay.
You're not a hospital.
Emma does this thing
I'm
where
like, I don't think you're not a hospital.
That's why I laughed, because she's like, but it
You're not.
is.
Are there doctors there?
Yes, we have doctors.
Actual doctors?
Yes.
Are any single and about my
They're women.
I imagine, I imagine it's a profession mostly dominated by women.
Yeah.
My brother is still, he's engaged but not married, so we could probably.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I was going to ask you a question about. Are you working like a Thanksgiving shift or anything like that?
No.
Good.
You know what?
Yeah.
Because I've been sick, and I know that you have to self-care, and that's how I do that. My place of work allows that, and that is so nice.
Are y'all short-staffed?
We're always.
Okay.
And we are a teaching facility.
When you started this job, like it was when I was already out of Dallas and doing like my career stuff. So this is the first time I'm hearing what you do at the hospital. I'll call it hospital, even though Emma won't.
Thank
I'll call
you.
it.
Yeah, because we have outpatient. We have the residential part, and we have a crisis unit. We have detox. We have an outpatient. We have some satellite places near the Dallas.
But then why do you have Saturday and Sunday off?
Because
but they're still open Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I was going to ask. I was like, Emma, but is the place open Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, but they just don't get counseling.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I could. I mean, if I changed my.
Oh, if you wanted to?
Yeah, I could.
You only have to work 5 days a week?
No, I only have to work 40 hours a week.
Oh, so you could do shorter days and 7 days a week if you wanted.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is so funny because this is exactly how our conversations happen. Like whenever I'm talking to Emma's mom, this is exactly how our conversations go. I want to end on a high note, or not a high note, but just kind of like it is the holiday season. I have one holiday story from, I don't know if this was Thanksgiving, but do you remember, this was actually the summertime because we were making peach cobbler. Do you remember the peach cobbler incident? There was an incident when we made peach cobbler. Do you remember what it was?
I'm going to say we did more whipped cream.
No. It happened to me. The peach cobbler incident. I sliced my pinky finger open. Do you remember that?
Oh no!
She cut herself on a can.
Yeah, I remember that now.
It was the best peach cobbler I've ever had. Like hands down, the best peach cobbler. So we still made it and we still ate it, but I sliced my finger open.
So blood and all.
Yeah,
blood and all. It was in there. The skin too, probably. I don't know. But that peach, I was just thinking about that. But what is your favorite? Because y'all are good cooks. Everyone in your family is a good cook.
We just had some squash squash soup. It was so good. That's what we were eating. It was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
I'm known for my mom's dressing.
Like Thanksgiving dressing.
Yeah. And it's
like gravy?
Yeah.
No, like
just
bread. Like stuffing,
And it's not cornbread. Do you do cornbread?
We don't. Oh wait, cornbread stuffing. We do the basic, like the Stovers, whatever it is, like the box stuffing. Like we do that. We do that because we spend so much time on the other foods. I know. But it's good. It's still my favorite part of the Thanksgiving meal, stuffing and the mashed potatoes.
That's so
and bread.
funny.
I know. I need to come over to y'all's place.
Yeah. Yeah. When you come over, you'll have some better.
I'm definitely going to go over the day after Thanksgiving for all the good food then. Because
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot.
They're gonna Brandy and Emma are gonna do pies.
are you really? What
Yeah,
kind
we're
of
gonna
pie?
make apple and berry.
Okay. Well, for anyone listening to this, I have to say that Emma's family is literally like the best cooks I've ever met. Like,
Thank you. I like that.
I remember like going to your house and having like mashed potatoes and steak, and then we would also experiment with anything that we would see because Emma and I would sit next to each other in French class, and we would go on BuzzFeed and we would look up recipes on
Oh my
the
God,
BuzzFeed thing, and then we'd be like, "Save this because this is what we're making at Emma's house," and we would make it. I'm very excited for a little
Yeah.
throwback of our high school experience. Oh, by the way, I just want to share this too with my fellow Dallas people because you guys know Dallas. So, someone posted in a group chat something about Ron DeSantis, but they mentioned him as RDS, and I put RDS sounds like a disease because the S sounds like a symptom, right? And then someone from Dallas saw that and said, "Note also." The fanciest shopping park in Dallas is called HPV, Highland Park
funny.
Village, HPV, human papillomavirus, or whatever it is.
That's funny.
I thought that was
That's
really fun. I thought y'all would enjoy that one. All right.
God.
That's good.
On that note, I'm going to end this podcast. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm super excited to be back home in Dallas, and stay safe
Yay.
with the holiday travels. And thank you both for joining me today on this lovely Sunday afternoon to do this podcast.
Our pleasure.